handle the truth.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another special edition of Thursday Night Get Right. Excuse me. So tonight we have a special discussion, and before we get into that, let me say my graces and good blessings. I will pass the mic over to Brother Demetrius Knucklesale and let him give his good blessings. Then we're going to get into this hot discussion. So first off, I give my blessings to all those who are without tonight, struggling to stay warm, trying to find maybe a meal. If you see any of these people, please just lend a hand any way that you can. You can go for $1.50. I believe you can go down to a thrift store or anything like that and get one of those like aluminum looking blankets. I cannot remember the name of these things whenever I try to call it, but man, for $1.50, these things are insulated and it can keep people warm. So whatever you can do, lend out a hand. So many blessings to the unfortunate tonight. I hope y'all get some food and some warmth. So with that, I pass the mic to the good brother over here. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm great. You'll hear me, right?
I can't hear you. Yeah. I don't know. Let me see if let me make sure that the audience can hear you here.
I'm doing great, man. A lot of things going on. Released and killed a couple people here, and there's just a lot of things going on, man. A lot of things that they don't want people to talk about. And they feel like people are scared to talk about it, which a lot of people are scared to talk about it. They got every reason to be scared because with what's going on out here, there's no freedom of anything for anyone.
Yeah, these are facts. These are true enough facts. So we're going to get into these and specifically about what's going on with Kyrie. And this is a perfect example. We're watching live we're witnessing live what we talk about. The privilege, the discrepancy, the favored. So with that being said, for those that don't know, Kyrie Irving plays for the Brooklyn Nets. You may or may not have been introduced to Kyrie during COVID when he decided that he did not want to get the vaccine. They were trying to force the NBA players to get the vaccine, and he chose to sit down and not play for, I believe it was about 6 months. So what had happened this time is Kyrie sent out a tweet, and all the tweet was that there was a documentary that people should watch, and it's on Amazon Prime, and this is the name of the documentary. And it just so happened that this particular documentary, was deemed to be anti-Semitic. So this caused a great stir. And Kyrie was criticized by the NBA. He was criticized by the Brooklyn Nets owner. And what Kyrie did was deleted the tweet and donated $1 million to the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL. At a news conference, Kyrie Irving failed to apologize for his actions. He failed to apologize for his actions. The Nets turn around and slap a 5-game ban and said that he's currently unfit to be associated with the Brooklyn Nets. The ADL returned the $1 million donation, saying that Kyrie obviously displayed a lack of true intent with the donation, that he was not sorry. Kyrie then puts out a longer apology from the first one that he put out. Nike then suspended the deal with his shoe, Kyrie's own personal shoe. And then the kicker, Mr. Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, speaks with Kyrie and agrees that Kyrie is not anti-Semitic. Wow. And now can possibly return this Sunday. So before I pass the mic to you, my good brother, because I know you just want to go, let me ask this question. Why would the NBA commissioner, Mr. Adam Silver, who is Jewish, by the way, why would he wait for that whole timeline to occur before he had a talk with Mr. Kyrie Irving to make the determination that he is not anti-Semitic?
Man, it's like this here, man. If you look at each, we gonna go back to Kaepernick, and you can go all the way back, but we just gonna go back just to Kaepernick. He was blackballed just because he stood up for something that he believed. So now, after they stripped him of everything, they stripped him of everything, the opportunity to play, everything. Then they come back around and say, no, he's all right now. Yeah, you took all his clothes off now. So now what they just did to Kyrie is they done took all the contracts away from him, right? All the money that he would have been getting, them millions and millions, they done took all that away from him. And now they saying, nah, you still want to play? Do you still want to play now? Because now we done took it all from you. They knew from the beginning that Kyrie Irving, all he did was retweeted something. Retweeted. They knew this in the beginning. But yet, they crucified him. They took all of his possessions, all of his future dividends. They took all of this from him simply because they feel like that's the way you break someone. And we know the other guy that they broke in the media already. So now, I think the question is, what's the difference between a right, the freedom of speech, and the privilege to speak? What's the difference?
Yeah, amen. And well said. Your picture keeps flipping out, and I don't know if it's on your end or my end, but like it goes up and down, and I don't think so. But everything that you said was heard, and that's powerful because that is exactly what we have been discussing and what we discuss when we say about the diversity. And I bring that because if I would have put that tweet out, or let's not use me because let's just say this. How come Amazon was not under attack for playing this, for having this documentary? But Kyrie is under attack for simply bringing light to it.
You do know what theater it premiered at, right?
I don't know anything about it, brother.
Well, it premiered at Shaquille O'Neal's theater. It premiered at, he owns the theater. It premiered at his theater. Now, he was just heard on air saying that Kyrie Irving is an idiot, right? Charles Barkley said Kyrie Irving need to be suspended. So now, all of the investigators, I'm talking about us, the journalists and investigators, are digging up dirt now. We're looking in the closets. We find out that Shaquille O'Neal owned the theater where the movie premiered at. Nothing happened to Shaquille O'Neal. There's a reason. Because Kyrie Irving is young, already proven rebellious against, in other words, he stand up for himself when he said he's not taking that COVID shot. That told the mindset of Kyrie Irving. He's not willing to ride with just what the system say. They didn't say nothing to Shaq about him premiering it at his theater because he already riding with what the system say. They making money off Shaq. Where Kyrie Irving presented himself as a threat when he defied the NBA rule to take a COVID shot. So now they're looking at this situation saying, okay, so now you want to retweet this? We've been waiting on you anyway. But yet they don't talk about Shaquille O'Neal. No one has talked about him other than the people like us at the bottom. We talking about the big guy up there. But no one else, the news media, Adam Silver, none of the rest of them are talking about whose theater it premiered at. He's sitting right there at the desk every single day.
That's interesting, and wow, because you would think that Shaq would be defending Kyrie. You know what I mean? You would think that
Yeah.
Shaq would be up front and be like, well, hold on one second now. You know what I mean? I mean, this premiered at my theater, and I didn't see anything wrong in premiering at my theater. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so let's get into this a little bit because teach us, man. Teach us the history because the couple times I went to New York, one thing I noticed was the animosity between uh, black and brown people and Jewish people. And to the point to where like bottles were thrown, names were called. Where does all of this animosity come from? If there is, if I'm labeling it correctly, because we really don't understand or know. We only get this information from the news and TV. So, is there animosity between the black community and the Jewish community? And if so, where does that spawn from?
Uh, you would have to hold on one second, just so I could hear crisp clear. Uh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
See, so where does the animosity come between the black and brown people with the Jewish people? I said Jewish people because you can take a red car. I may have a red car, right? Your car is a variation of the red car, so we call it's a reddish, whatever other color, reddish blue or reddish gray or reddish something. It is not the red car, so it is not the original. So the people, the Jewish people, are not the original Jew. They are they are the offsprings of the original. Just like if I had the red car and we mixed some paint and we came up with another variation of that red, it's not the original, it's a ish. So the history is, I mean, it's in the Bible, it's in the history books that's being hidden and probably thrown away right now because this is a big hot debate. But the original Jew, the original Jews, Hebrews, are the black and brown people. That is the original. This is just with history. This ain't me saying this. This is literally the history, the real history books that says this. And these are not books that's written by black and brown people. Some of them are, but most of them are not. So now you're talking about the history of black and brown people, the Hebrew Israelites, the original Jews. So, how did someone else grab hold of this title as the Jews or the Jewish? Like everything else, is the first. Imhotep is the first world multi-genius, but and he was from Africa. But that's not in the books like that. Unless you research it more, you will find it. But they took that culture, they took that genius, and their and the Caucasian, they named their genius when they took all the information from Imhotep and they applied it to someone else to say that they have the first world multi-genius. They called him Hippocrates, right? I'm just going somewhere with it. Hippocrates is the root name for hypocrite. So, but they took this information, put this hat on somebody else's head, a Caucasian person head, and said, "This is the world's first multi-genius right here." But they took all the knowledge from over in Africa, from Imhotep. He was the world's first. So now they did the same thing with this Jew, because the African people, the Hebrews, Hebrew Israelites, uh, we studied, we did things,
Egypt was the capital empire of the entire world. It is the home of all knowledge. And so the Hebrews, you can read it in the Bible, talk about Moses with the Hebrews. That's the story of the Hebrews. And Moses, they say, according to their own book, Moses was brown skinned. He say, let my people go. So if he brown skinned it and he's saying my people, he must be identifying with somebody that looked like him. So again, yeah, your screen seemed like it's going dark. And I can see real good though. But so now they stripped the African people of their culture, of their nationality, of their divine creed, which is their divine religion, not the man-made stuff. We're talking about the divine religion. They stripped them of everything that tied them in to God. They took all of these clothes. Just going to use the term clothes. They took all of these clothes off the African people, put the clothes on themselves, and now they call themselves the Jews. But they never said they are the original Jews. Keep that in mind. You're never going to read anywhere where they say that we are the original Jews. They're never going to say that. They're just going to say we are the Jews. So, so that's boy, I tell you, Marcus Garvey. That's exactly what. But see, you got Noble Drew Ali right there. Marcus Garvey was paving the way for Noble Drew Ali. Marcus Garvey was a black nationalist. He was telling people that we are the original people of the planet Earth. We are the cream of the crop. Every nation was born of us. That's not to say nothing bad about nobody, because my mother gave birth to me. That don't make me less than her or her more than me. She just gave birth to me, right? I appreciate that birth, or I wouldn't be here today. So Marcus Garvey was trying to teach that we are the original people of the planet Earth. All other nations came out of us. Noble Drew Ali came behind him because he paved the way for Noble Drew Ali. Noble Drew Ali came behind him and he taught Islamism. And let me share some with you. He taught Islamism. The ISM represents the practice of something. The word Islam simply means peace. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. So when you talk about he brought Islamism, he brought the practice of peace. Islam is the first religious creed known to man because before the chaos was in the ethers, it was all peace. So this is why people would say, and we would say, that Islam is the religion of God, because God's order of the day was peace. We allowed our devilish thoughts to bring about chaos. So now Marcus Garvey brought this black nationalist idea to the people to say, look, you are, he said, up, you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will. Stop being down. Stop acting like you're nothing when you're everything. Noble Drew Ali come behind him and say, you know what? The Europeans stripped us of our nationality, our divine creed. If you read it in the United States Constitution, I know you heard about the 3/5 of a man. So what's the other 2/5 that's missing? It's 2/5 because if they say black people and Negroes are 3/5 of a human being, that means that it's two things that's missing that makes the Negro whole. Because the Constitution don't recognize 3/5 of a human being. They only recognize what they call a full human being. So you have nationality and divine creed. That's what they stripped us of. Nationality and divine creed makes the whole. Your nationality is what ties you into a nation. So now I'm going to give you an example of why what they saying that Kyrie said now is so important in waking up people. What Kanye is doing right now is waking up people, and this is what they don't want. Because if you got 10 people that look like me, and we in a soundproof room, 10 different rooms, right? and you say, I have $1 billion. You tell all of us right here, all of us out here right now, I have $1 billion. If you all can go in that room and tell me what your nationality is, if all of you all are saying the exact same thing, each one of you get $1 billion, right? All 10 of us are going in a room and we'll say something different. I'm gonna say black. He gonna say Negro. He gonna say African American. He gonna say Afro American. He gonna say this type of American. But so now we all lost the money, right? But you get 10 Chinese in a room, soundproof room, and tell them the same thing. They're not gonna even look at each other. They're gonna go in the room and say, I'm Chinese. Japanese, I'm Japanese. Russian, I'm Russian. Vietnamese, I'm Vietnamese. So what they did, what the people did that's called themselves the Jews right now, the Jewish, is they led under the Catholic Church, they led the conquest into raping Africa and killing it, and killing off the people. And they sponsored the Christopher Columbus coming over here to discover and wreak havoc upon and force Christianity upon a people, destroy a people. The Willie Lynch letter came out soon, a couple hundred years later, and following suit with Christopher Columbus did, and what the Catholic Church sponsored, the Jewish, they sponsored it. So now the problem is that people are waking up, and in the news right now, and in the media right now, and in the sports world and entertainment world, they saying no, you got all that money to keep your mouth shut. Because I love Jay Z. Have you heard Jay Z say anything yet? Come on. Right, right, right. Right, right, right. I agree. Ain't lying.
process. So swinging back to Kyrie and what's going on with him, I understand completely now. I understand completely now, and I hear a lot of discussion amongst, and I hate using black or white,
Me
right? And
too.
I'm trying to eliminate this from my speech altogether because man has never spoke like this until of recent times. You know what I mean? And when you go back into like you say, biblical text, old text, we were describing each other as what we saw: bronze, copper, however, because there was no black or no white back then. So you're
Right.
just trying to describe what you see. So when what I've been hearing as the darker skinned brothers amongst these people is, what are we going to do? We're tired. What are we going to do? Right? When I see this as a white person, and I try to be as unbiased as I possibly can, the questions that come to me is, again, why did Adam Silver wait for all of this to occur? For one, you informed me about Shaquille, you know, and it's like the division that comes up out of this between me, between you, between your own kin, you know what I mean, is exactly what these power players are sitting back in the clutch
Right.
watching. And they're laughing at us. This is what bothers me, is because we are the entertainment. And I don't like to be anybody's entertainment. You know what I mean? We are the entertainment. And like you say, Kyrie, Colin Kaepernick, these individuals individuals are expected to maintain a certain composure and make sure that these conglomerates are always held in the utmost respect and the utmost light. It disgusts me to watch this NFL with these community-based programs and all this stuff. I don't see them anywhere.
Right.
I don't see these people anywhere. Where's all this stuff at? You know what I mean? So it's, when are we going to stop? And the question that I keep hearing is like, where's the line stop at? What happens? Where does it, why does Kyrie even want to play for why is Colin Kaepernick even begging to come back into the NFL? Why are we subjecting ourselves to these people's entertainment like that?
You know what, man? First of all, people standing up, everybody who stood up got shot down or got blackballed. Jesse Owens, when he stood up, and in the Olympics, when they held the fists up, they got blackballed. Malcolm X, we know what happened to him. We know what happened to all the Black Panthers.
Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali got blackballed. Listen, one of the most powerful people, two of the most powerful people of our time, the most influential of our time, got blackballed. And, well, three of them. And end up two of them got killed. Tupac, he stood up and he just bucked against the system. And I mean bucked against the system because the system is corrupt. You go against it, you're getting blackballed. Will Smith, he's a houseboy anyway, but nonetheless, you see what happened to him. Biggie Small, you see what happened to him. Buck against the system. But the one that hasn't met his demise, who God and kept his arms around in a different way, is Mike Tyson. He got blackballed. I'm talking about he got blackballed because and there was evidence saying that he did not blah 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 blah. This girl was known to do this and that. They didn't even care because everything that's being implemented today is reminiscent of the past. Emmett Till, the kiss, the supposed to touch the white girl.
And I see it, right? I see it in Bill Cosby. I see it in R. Kelly. You know what I mean? I see it in all the people that you named. I see it in Wesley Snipes. Any individual who seems to become too big, too powerful, too vocal, too outspoken has to pay the piper in some kind of way. Some kind of way. People don't even understand what happened to Bill Cosby. They don't even care. They don't even care about the unconstitutionality of how they put this man in prison because they deemed him guilty. Why? Why did they deem him guilty already? Right. Where is that stigma coming from? You know what I mean? As soon as you see a darker skinned human being, you automatically account him as a criminal because you see a lighter skinned human being accusing him of that. Where does that mentality come from?
Wow, you just hit something on the head that I was just reading earlier about Rush Limbaugh. He never got canceled. He never got censored. Rush Limbaugh said that because 68% of the NFL is made up of so-called black people, that now the NFL looks like the Bloods and the Crips. Never got censored about it. Rush Limbaugh, he said most of the crimes that's being committed throughout the United States, when they post the most wanted individuals for those crimes in the newspaper, he say they look like the civil rights leaders of the past. So who is the civil rights leaders of the past? So he's saying that the criminals are black. He never got censored. You have Ann Coulter. She just said some ridiculous stuff, you know.
And we got a comment from my father actually, right? And he brings up a good point because this really circles around what it is that I preach, and that this is about classism
It is.
disguised heavily as racism. And what the comment is, he simply says Pete Rose. And Pete Rose is a prime example of a person who has been blackballed for going against the system. So this isn't about black people, white people, things of that nature. It's really about speaking out against the system. However, you have more of one side than the other, and it's more prevalent, and there is an agenda towards one side versus the other. And I think that that agenda goes into what you were talking about earlier when it comes into the slashes. I understand your point as well, because your point was kind of double folded. You know, here you have every other human being on the face of the planet that has a home, and saying that when they ask, who are you? You can say, I'm German, I'm English, I'm Dutch, I'm whatever. You guys have many slashes. That is a beautiful, articulate point that I mean, like, when you were speaking about these things, I would just, but also in that is the division in itself as well under this American scheme, because I don't say that I'm German American. I don't say that I'm Dutch American. I don't say that I'm European American. I just say that I'm American. But yet everybody else that has a darker shade than me is either Cuban American, Latin American, African American, you know what I mean? Eastern American, however they, you know, so that is in place to keep us in groups, keep us separated. We do it. We do it all day long. People say, oh, I'm not racist. Man, every damn one of us is racist because we're under a racist regime. Right. It's in us. We're doing it and talking about it constantly. When we talk about color, when I refer to you as a black person, when I refer to this person as a Latino, this is racism. Mm. This is racism, and we don't even realize it. We don't even recognize the fact that we are keeping ourselves divided by looking at each other in that aspect. I see you as a black person, so therefore that means I'm a white person, and that comes with rules. Mm-hmm. That comes with a standard.
See, I agree, and classism is disguised under racism. Absolutely 110% agree. But when you have a people who are ignorant, who can't tell the difference, they run with racism because they can't see. For example, I used to tell guys in prison this here. A lot of my white homeboys and friends. I say, man, you think that you different. I say, you from the hood. When they pull you over and you from the hood, you gonna get the same treatment as I did. Now, because we understand that other people don't understand the difference between really what's going on in racism and classism. They just look at it from a racist perspective. When you get in front of that judge as a white guy, and the judge has been indoctrinated to believe that everything's about race and not about class, now he's gonna judge you different than me. But we're not talking about at the point of judgment. We're talking about the actual reality that we live in is classism, because racism didn't even come into play until the 16th century. So and so that this was a couple hundred years right after Christopher Columbus, 1492. So it didn't even come into play until after that, because it had to set in. They had to create a division. They had to make this dark skinned person think that he's better than the light skin, or the light skinned person is better than him, so they can clash. Then they had to make the lighter skin think that the other lighter skin is worse. They had to create the clash in order to create the class. So they created all these differences of they talk about this nose is the original nose, this nose is better than that, those big lips, those big eyes. Look at the hair on my skin and no hair on your skin, and the hair on your head and the hair on my head. So they created all of these small divisions that indoctrinated us to believe that it's about race. But all the time, they was classifying people. And the root word for classify is class. They was putting you in a class. And then if you think about this here, the word class, when we think of class right now, we think of school, right? And when we think of school, we think of a place that something's being taught, right? So they put us in a class and they taught us to think differently of one another. They taught us, they indoctrinated us with hatred, insecurities, superiorities, inferiorities.
Our community, when we have because nobody likes to admit that they are a lesser class. I don't like to admit that I'm in the poor class, but that's just what it is. You know what I mean? And then when you have even beneath me people who are really struggling, because you got just as many white people in the hood as you do black people. You have just as many more white people on welfare and taking government checks, right? But that's never really discussed. But in the pocket of things, because of this separatism, you'll have a white lady in a trailer and you'll have a black lady in a trailer, and this white lady will think that she's in a better position in life and better off simply because she's white. And in societal terms, she's right. You know what I mean? She's right, because she'll be able to go through a door that the lady next to her won't be able to go through.
Yeah.
Now, true enough, once they run her credit check and they find out her zip code and all these things, yeah, then that's where the pressure starts to come on. But the point is that she got through the door.
Right.
The other lady wouldn't even be able to get through the door. And her credit may be outstanding. You see what I'm saying? So in our pockets, in our communities, we as neighbors are arguing with one another, even though we're in the same predicament and have the same enemy, have the same oppressor. But we'll argue with each other because one thinks they're better than other because their skin is a little bit lighter.
So it's like we're arguing with one another over which one of us being raped the worst by the system. Both of us being violated. And that's what we can't stand up against. And this is why they blackballing Kyrie and Kanye, Kaepernick, and whoever else. Because when you wake up people, because Dave Chappelle is blackballed too. He didn't put so much of their business out there. Told them how things go. Said that they didn't pay him for the Chappelle show. HBO said he was garbage, and now all of a sudden they streaming all of his shows, and they want him to do more shows. So when you wake up people, the most dangerous man in the world is a thinking man. A thinking man. Because if you could think, you can influence. And if you can influence, you can empower.
Why is that? Is there truth behind that? The reason why, in my opinion, the most dangerous man in the world is a man of thought is because me being that man of thought and having time to sit down and look at life from a box, from the outside looking in, because I was not included in life. So I got to watch it pass by. I got to analyze and see all the bullshit. When Shakespeare says the world is a play, everything came to me. When Tony Montana says, I'm the bad guy, you need people like me so you can point your finger at me and say, there goes the bad guy. It became crystal clear to me. All of this became clear to me because I had time to sit and think. Out here, we don't have that time, brother. Why? Because we have sports constantly in our face. We have entertainment constantly in our face. We have life constantly in our face. They make sure that they keep the right amount of pressure on us so that we don't have time to think. Who has the time to sit down and contemplate? right? And we're not talking 15 minutes. We're not even talking an hour yoga stretch, meditation. It helps, sure. But what we're talking about is hours of contemplation, sitting down and discussing, analyzing with people, having philosophical conversations. Anybody that reads Plato, this is how these human beings interacted back then. These people would sit down for 9, 10, 12 hours talking about how the eyeball functions. Who
Right.
does that anymore? We don't do that anymore because we got to pay bills. We got to pay taxes. And at the end of the day, we're eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, the crumbs of a chip, but the government is getting every lick of their dollar.
and and that's a great analogy too, man, because I mean, I like you say, basically you say the light came on when you thought about when Tony Montana say you need people like me, so you could point at me and you could say they're the bad guy, because that makes the other person feel a little bit better that they could point at somebody else. And so now you take and you was talking about how uh the greatest distraction is entertainment, whether it's movies, whether it's sports. Entertainment is the greatest distraction away from us learning about who we are and rising up and getting the real government in place. So they provided this distraction. They paid for this distraction. They pay hundreds of millions of dollars for this distraction, because as long as they can keep us distracted, they got us indoctrinated. They got us indoctrinated. And that's why they so mad at Kanye and Kyrie and them, because they said, man, I gave you millions of dollars with the potential to make $1 billion, and you still want to talk? You supposed to be the distraction to keep other people quiet. But yet you opening your mouth after I gave you all this money.
That's right. What you just said is key elemental, my brother. That is it. That's it in a nutshell. You can't say it any better than what you just said it. They're giving these people. Okay. Let me paint the circle for you. So I have a child in the poor community, right? And I know it's been indoctrinated into me that the only way that we're gonna make it out of this poor community is to get my son into sports, right? Get my son into sports, because the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, the hockey league, all these leagues show that they will pay millions of dollars and we can have mansions and we can, so you know what, get outside, boy, and go play sports. So we're ingraining and fueling these people to go into the society to again be quiet and get us out of the hood,
Mm-hmm.
because we have been indoctrinated to thinking that is the only way out, or sell drugs. For women, it's sex, or show your body. You know what I mean? Things of that nature. That's the only way you're gonna get out. Entertainment, things, whatever. So now that you're in the sports, you have sold your soul, which is now called a contract, to these people for these millions of dollars. You don't own yourself anymore. You have no right to speak out against the league or anything that is going to embarrass the league. And you have now sacrificed your life and everything that you believe in for this contract. This is why we're seeing entertainers are alcoholics, drug addicts, they're
Right.
overdosing, they're dying. Same with sports athletes and the things that they're doing, because they're getting into these blood contracts and realizing that they have no life. They have no life. And it's almost like your side, they have you for life, because now they're making it so much as to when you leave sports, you have to become an announcer. So you're always going to be involved with these people so they can keep you under wraps, make sure that you're doing what you're a good Toby, if I can say that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I was looking for this female. She was on I can't remember if I seen it on TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram. She quit. She went her dream was to become a rapper. She was very good. She said she quit. And she told all her followers on Instagram Live, she said, I quit. She said, I thank all of y'all for supporting me. But just wait for it. She said, I thank all of y'all for supporting me. you know, but I had to quit. She said, because I can admit that I signed a contract and I didn't know what I was signing. I signed my soul over to them. So I quit. I won't be making music no more. And she just crying tears, right? Because some people can admit that they didn't read it. They was just happy. Like you talking about, you're poor in the neighborhood. Boy, get out there and play basketball. So now he playing basketball so good that they come with this contract. Mom's just thinking like, because she's already indoctrinated, right? Because they use the mother to indoctrinate the son, the child, or the father to indoctrinate the child. So now she's so happy that she just get him, he signed it. That's what we've been waiting on all our life, to get out of slavery. We've been waiting on this all our life. The money will get us out of this. Means that you are no longer a slave if you sign that contract, because we can have a mansion, not knowing that you're signing yourself back into slavery. And a girl on Facebook, she just was crying and crying because that's why I stood right when it first happened with Kanye. I stood right there and I said, man, I'm so happy he did that, man, because what he doing is he's admitting and saying, shoot, I sold myself. No, I'm getting myself back. You can have all the money, because he knew that they was gonna cancel him. They just did it to Will Smith, so he knew what was gonna happen. That's why he had already said about Adidas. He had already been talking about how Adidas uh played him and they didn't want to put out his shoes at one time and all this and that. And he said, no, hell no, y'all ain't gonna make all this money and only give me this. See, he had already showed them that his eyes are being opened. So now I'm gonna say this. I was listening to the guy named Chameleonaire. You remember rapper Chameleonaire?
Yep.
He said Nelly told him back when he was doing out rapping. He said Nelly told him, man, read your contracts and always do an audit. That's how you're gonna find where your money is at, how much money they owe you. He said he did an audit right after he come out. He said they had hid $600,000 from him. He said so. He told Universal, this I just seen this today. He said, I told Universal, give my money. They said no. He said, if y'all don't get my money and get me out of this contract, I'm telling everybody to make sure they do an audit on their stuff. He said that's how he got out the contract. That's how the game is played. Dave Chappelle, that's what he doing. Uh uh Kyrie Irving, that's what he doing. Kanye West, that's what they doing. They informing the people, man.
Well, that's crazy. I mean, it's so. Let's way we can talk about this stuff in no half hour.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
this
yeah.
last 10 minutes, man, let's what do we do, partner? Us in the neighborhood, us in the community, what do we do? For me, I don't watch this garbage anymore. I may turn it on here or there. My TV hardly comes on. I got a PS5. That's the only reason my TV comes on. If I need a break from society or life or anything for a little while, I turn my game on, do that a little bit. But how do we get off that hamster wheel from showing our children that this is the way out and putting them in that cycle, getting them off this entertainment crap, because the entertainers is showing them this glamorous life and the NBA and the NFL is showing them how to get there. It's all a cycle. It's all a cycle that's teaching our children to go in here and be entertainers.
Hmm.
To be entertainers. You're making 5 million, but you're making this person 20 billion. You know what I mean? That's how I think. That's how I look at stuff.
And see, I look at I agree. What do we do, man? Because I look at it like this, and I really said this when I was in prison. I talked to a lot of my friends who was into the blood game, and Lil Wayne was talking his blood talk, and then Puffy, and then Chris Brown, and all these people, and I'm telling myself, and I'm telling these young guys, I say, man, y'all going out here killing people, robbing people, stealing from people. Chris Brown ain't doing that. Lil Wayne ain't doing that. P Diddy ain't doing that. But y'all idolizing these guys. So now what we have in the music is that in rap you have the black on black crime. In rock you got the drugs. I mean the heavy drugs. In country you got the heavy liquor. In jazz you got the depression. So every genre of music has its own set of problems that we promote through music. And then, in wrestling, you get Steve Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he just drink a beer in front of everybody. And now you got the children who want to be Stone Cold Steve Austin, they drinking. And then you got the children who can't discern the truth from the fact from the fiction, the entertainment value of it. So they going back to what they used to do back in the day. They cut themselves with a razor for real. So they putting each other's in choke holes and choking. Come on, man, steroids. So these our entertainers are becoming the advocates or are the advocates for the devil because they feed us the stuff that it takes to destroy us and take us away from who we really are. So we got to turn the TVs off sometime, man.
Have you heard of Liverman? The
Yeah,
one that eats all the. Okay, this dude is jacked. Rip, 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 rip. Probably got
yeah.
like 0.6 body percent. You know what I mean? This dude has the most perfect physique I've ever seen on a man. And he's claiming that he's all natural and that his product, his diet is what gave him that build. This dude is making millions off this. But anybody that knows the body, knows the physique, knows it takes enhancements to get to the level that this dude is at. You know what I mean? And yeah, and Rogan called him out on it. You know what I mean? And it's coming to find out that he's not clean. So everything that pretty much 90% of what we see on this crap is false. It is all geared, psychologically enhanced and made to get your money, to keep you divided. People are getting rich off your ignorance, off our ignorance, our stubbornness, our need and want for attention and drama and action and entertainment. And then we wonder why we're riding around broke.
What do we do, man?
So we be more responsible with our actions. We be better people in understanding that overconsumption, it goes with anything. I'm a big preacher on overconsumption. Listen, I'm not telling anybody how to live their life. I'm not telling everybody that you can and can't do this because I do whatever the hell I want. But the thing is that I do it moderately. You know what I mean? And I know that there are particular things that I like to do that I can become very overconsumed in. So I have to gauge that. I have to be my own guardian because if not, I'll run amok. And before you know it, I'll be back into the depths of society. So I have to
Right.
guard that and shield that and moderate everything in moderation. If you want to watch entertainment, set a time and make sure that it's away from your children and they don't see that you're promoting violence, because you cannot promote violence in front of them and then turn around and tell them not to be violent. That causes a duality. This is why our children are the way that it is.
Remember I told you about the big killer?
And I've
This
used that in many examples, man. Big killer.
we literally indoctrinate our children. So now it goes back to Nation Islam, the brother Elijah Muhammad, and he wrote a book called How to Give Birth to a God. Right now we know how to give birth to a devil already because we that's what we're talking about. So we know that. So now You give birth to a God by grabbing a child as early as possible and teaching them godly things. And in the Moore Science Temple of America, we teach that uh, teach them. We talk about teaching a child early in his youth and letting no bad habit gain strength with his years. So this is not saying you got to keep him, shield him away from everything, but you have to teach him and you have to mold them. Because if you could teach and mold a child the same way we've been taught and molded to become criminals and become the misfits and become all of these negative connotations and negative stigmas that attach, the same way we was molded for all these years that to do that stuff is the same way you mold a child to become a godly. You know, you for example, if right now I engaged some female in China and she got pregnant, right? And we over here, we have our child over here, but I sent my child over there to be raised. The child was born over here, but I sent a child over there to be raised. The child is going to speak Chinese. I don't care if the child was came from Shaka Zulu's loins. If the child is raised in China, it's going to speak Chinese.
I mean, the perfect example of what we saw with that was the girl that they found over in Russia that was raised by the wolves.
Right.
She thought that she was a wolf. Why was she not? Because as children, all that we have to survive off is mirroring neurons. So we are going to mirror our environment. We're going to learn from it how to adapt, how to live, how to survive. And you're talking about now, once they found this girl, you're talking about this girl is I believe she goes to Harvard or something like that. She's a Harvard graduate. She speaks like 5 different languages. So I mean, that is the study in itself, right? Because that just shows you in one lifespan a human being who lived and acted and thought it was a pure animal and lived only off instinct alone to becoming a college graduate. That
Yeah.
tells you the remarkable essence of a brain. So nobody can sit here and argue with me about people cannot reform, people cannot change.
Mm.
There's scientifically proven that it can from one side of the spectrum to the other. So I don't buy that stuff anymore. But man, we're getting more and more powerful with these things,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. This some real stuff, man. But I'm gonna tell you something, man. We got to speak about 'cause this is a topic that's gonna continue, man, because there's gonna be more people coming out and more ideas being shared and more racism being shared and more classism being shared, and people are gonna be indoctrinated, and sometimes they need a mediator to really articulate this stuff and break it down to them so they can err on the side of right and not err on the side of ignorance. And but there's some stuff going on, man. I'm gonna share with you that we've been going through here. Like I say, police just killing. They just killed a girl the other day, last Thursday, I think it was.
A
Men-
girl.
yeah, killed a lady. She was mentally ill. She was having a episode. Last month they killed the guy, shot 38 times, hit him 19 times. He was having a mental episode, and
Now you're in Detroit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So they doing it, man, and it has to be addressed. We just did a protest, we did a rally, and all that type of stuff the other day, and this has to be addressed, man.
You know what we need to do, partner? I saw on YouTube that now they came with a function where 2 hosts can go live together. We need to build your channel out. And that way, so like when we do our show, you're going live from your channel. But that also gives you the ability that when you're out and about, you can go live from your channel and document this stuff, man. Let the people see what's really going on.
I just got my YouTube channel. It should be up tomorrow. Uh,
Beautiful.
it should be up tomorrow. And like I
Beautiful.
say,
We'll get with me and we'll make you up some graphics. I'll do you up some graphics, a header, all that stuff. Make it look
yeah,
jazzy for the people because you know we like to be entertained.
all
We
the
gotta
time,
make it look jazzy.
all the time. I'm going to and I told you I'm getting all my podcast equipment together right now, man. I just got this mic today, cost me $100, man.
It's worth it.
Yeah,
And you sound good. Everything sounds perfect. I've been having some technical issues with this thing all night. So I pray, good Lord willing, that this came out clean. But it has to because the people are, their attention span is so short, homeboy. Like if they hear a glitch, and I'm the same way. If I hear a glitch, if I see anything, I'll be turned off from it and then I'll head somewhere else. But in order to keep the people entertained, this is what we got to do. But it's always going to come back in the end. It's going to pay off. Absolutely. And what I'm doing down here, shout out to Street Elements magazine. I'm in connection with them now. Hopefully I can get some going with the section where I can start writing articles with them, start bringing good brothers like yourself and Brother Dion, which I'll introduce to the show here shortly, and DeMel Dukes and these guys, start getting them to write articles. But this is already, you ever heard of Don Diva? Remember Don Diva?
Yes.
In XL magazine?
Yeah.
This magazine has outplaced them.
Okay.
This is the new Don Diva, the new XL. This is what Street Elements is. Okay. So y'all can check it out, streetelements.com. But